What's up? What's up? I have a very, very big book that I will be going through today. And it's this one here. I can show you. This is like 400 pages or so. And I probably think that this video is going to be quite a long one because this is a book that is called The Dream of Koshikari or Koshikari no Mita Yume by Saito Taneo, who I have never heard of before. And I am still finding information about him right now because I really can't find much. But he was or is a mangaka. I don't even know if he's still alive, but I'll just say he is a mangaka that was serializing some works in some other manga magazines, but I've got one example of one that he was in. This is volume 19 of Yagyo, which I haven't shown on the channel yet. This, once I do read this, will pop up on the manga magazine series. So his name is right over here. He had serialized, like in this 20 volume manga magazine series. I'll just give you an example of his works. He did stuff like this, and I don't know how to describe his style. Sort of heta uma, but at the same time it feels kind of different too. So yeah, like you can kind of tell my confusion with this because reading this I would say it was a slog, but at the same time very unique. And so my opinions on this book are very confused at the moment, but let's just get into it. So this is the dream that Koshikari saw. Koshikari is supposed to be like a type of rice grain, I believe, and this is the rice grain here. And it's a collection of short stories, but here we have it signed. Got it signed by Saito Taneo in 2008 April, which is pretty sick. This is one of the characters in the story. But this book the printing is great. It's actually, because it's a newer book, this was published in 2007. It was a compilation of all of their works from previous magazines, a lot of it from Hokuto Shobo, who is the publisher of this magazine or anthology. So here's a list of the works here. This first one, Ego, is like one main story that is a sort of sci-fi story, very hard to understand at points. And yeah, I just have so much to talk about in terms of this book, so we'll just get started. So the first big story is titled Ego. And one thing that I'll say straight away is that the way this was serialized was in 2-page shorts. So every 2 pages you get like a different story. And for me, that was an extremely hard thing to get used to because he likes to use a lot of text and it makes the story extremely fragmented. But I'll get into the premise from which I understand. So we start off here with a group of animals talking about humanity destroying the world, how there was a virus, and we have this mysterious big floating rice grain spaceship, who knows, in the sky. And immediately, next page, we jump to another perspective of a couple who are looking to take their own lives, who also see this big thing in the sky, but as they do so, one of the couple's branches breaks. Next page, again, so this is all in 2-page like sets or sections. We have another situation where someone is looking to take their own life. Instead, it is a student. And so, again, another recurring motif is that rice grain spaceship thing. Switch over again to another 2 pages that looks like it's set in the future with all those different animals, and they stumble upon a weird room with the common thing of the ship in the sky. So what is happening in all of these stories is that there is this, I'll just call it a ship, a spaceship for just convenience sake, because I don't know what actually it is and we're not entirely sure. But we have a couple scenes first of those who are in despair, those who are taking their own lives, seeing this weird ship in the sky. We've got a blind person here who is somehow related to it. We've also got this very weird scene of a talking, what's this called again? Hourglass, a talking hourglass who is in a circus. Extremely odd fragments of a narrative that will slowly culminate, but at the same time, it is still extremely hard for me to understand. So yeah, every 2 pages is a little separate story that is supposed to connect together. And so it's, I will say, like, the premise of it now is looking at cults, and it is commentary, socio and economic commentary, the way that this story is made, because the cult here that we're seeing now is made up of some of those people who had attempted to take their lives. So this woman here, she is the grandma who had survived when their brand broke, when they were trying to hang themselves. The man, we've got the man who was blind that we saw before, who had now grown a third eye, and we also have one of the other guys we saw previously who cut off their ear. And, well, we're thinking now, this is supposed to be the grandma. What happened? Why does he have a third eye? Well, apparently there's this cult thing or power that allows for you to rejuvenate or become younger. And I don't know what's going on here either, but setting the vibe, weird vibes. We're coming back to this future story again that seems to be, if you look at it, you know, the hexagons similar to this building over here. It's like a hive of sorts. So everything seems to be connected, but you aren't ever told directly what is happening. And so we get some backstory to one of the cult members who joins. And I believe the name of the cult is like the egg of global organism. That's why it's called ego. But one of the side effects of rejuvenation is that the mind also becomes younger, apparently. And then all of these weird things happen with aliens. And the point of the cult is to create a new race for the future. Like the people that we saw before, you know, they became younger, but they got these new powers. That's third eye and whatnot. And always there's this weird ship that comes up every couple of chapters. And so, it's just so odd. And also, what I was saying before about me being confused with how I thought of this manga is that there's too much text, to be honest. The way that this manga was serialized was in 2-page, you know, every 2 pages. And Taneo talks about this in his afterwards. So it doesn't really feel like the traditional manga because of that. But at the same time, I think one of the a bit like the weaknesses of this manga, in my opinion, is that there's just too much text, especially with the fact that everything's fragmented already. Every 2 pages is a different situation. Every 2 pages is a different character, different perspective. It's extremely hard to follow at times, and you know, it could be my Japanese or anything like that. We've got like some backstory of a tragic backstory of a high school girl and one of the characters, and it's just, there's just so much to consume and to understand. And keep in mind, this is a 400-page tankobon, like sorry, not tankobon, but like 400-page book. So it was at times a big slog to get through. And at this point, you know, they've captured a creature that seems to be changing. We get some weird scene where one of the members of the cult tries to kill the cult leader. we get back to another scene where they've captured like a politician, and as you can see here, they don't have an arm, but using the power of the cult, they regrow an arm. So essentially, just to sum up what's happening so far, the cult is stronger, getting stronger, or I want to say, I would say maybe progressing at this stage. So I believe the name of the power is like called the ego virus, or that specific thing that makes them young or regenerates them. And yeah, it's so odd, but I do appreciate the art, of course. I love the art actually. And later on, some of the other stories that don't have this 2-page succession and is a bit longer has some amazing panels. But yeah, I still very much appreciate the art, appreciate the atmosphere and the vibes, but the story itself is a little bit too fragmented for me. I mean, I think I could probably understand like a book from William Burroughs more than this. Sometimes I don't know. Well, maybe not. Burroughs is kind of crazy. I read Naked Lunch. He's another level, but in this case, yeah, fragmented to the point of just confusion, I think, in my opinion, at least. And there's also this very interesting scene where they're at a round table and they seem to be attacked by something. So yeah, this video isn't meant to fully explain everything that's going on. It's just my thoughts of what I thought was happening, and a lot of it was difficult to really grasp. And here is also another weird scene. The characters that we saw before, they all turn into the same person. It seems to be a hallucination, maybe, because like one of them reveals themselves to be like a Grim Reaper, kills the rest of them. And back to the ship. And apparently one of the goals is for that hive that was being made to transport this new race to another planet or the moon. And then now we jump to another point in the story called Ego Point Zero, which are unrelated to the like the core story of the cult. This one is like a man choosing between two women. This one is about a couple mourning the death of their dog. This one is about an alien narrating that they detest Earth because it looks like hell. This one is about an angel shooting their older self, I believe. Not sure about this one entirely, but again, Ego Point Zero is like a different set of stories, but still in the ego verse. I don't know, man. It's so tough to figure out, but you can see what I mean by all of the words. It's just too much at some point. And it did get to a point where I just like stopped reading. Like later in the ego story, I just stopped because it wasn't worth it for me anymore just translating all of this. I was getting burnt out. So yeah, I will say that I have not read some of this book, but I think for me at least it was getting a bit too much. So this continues on with the 2-page stories, random stories. This is an interesting 2 pages as well. I have to censor some part of that, but a character that I believe we see again as well. But Ego, the story arc, is most definitely a commentary on society in various forms throughout all of these fragmented stories. So it's just the way that it's done is quite overwhelming. This is Ego Point, again, Salvage, another part of the story that follows this another arc of this rabbit alien who has landed at Earth. And I believe the ego hive is now in space. So, like, admiring the art alone, I think this book is great. It's a mixture of more simple art like this and more detailed art that comes later. But yeah, all of this is just that rabbit alien arc. To be honest, I did skip like half of this because I was getting tired. I was getting tired reading through this, so I will skip through a little bit. Feel free to like 2x speed this if you're not too into it. But I knew this was going to be a long video anyways, because again, I just still want to show off these very unique stories that you might not ever be able to find. And you know, I was searching pictures of this in the past, and not many pictures of it too, so this is why I want to show it off. And then we come back to the original hive, the ego members. This was the blind man, this was the woman, and there was a fruit here, a fruit tree. So it might have been like a hallucination, because this a collective hallucination or group hallucination, because this is the politician, his arm's not back at all. So was it that everything that happened beforehand just a group hypnosis thing? Who knows? I'm not sure. Don't take my word for it, but that's just what I'm seeing from this. And I think if it is true, then it's a very interesting thing to think about. And yeah, it's always this ship that is present, so I guess it could be a motif of that cult and reaching for something that is unattainable. But wow, that was a big slog to get through, in all honesty. But yeah, at least I've read it and can sort of showcase to you guys what sort of a story it was generally. But yeah, that was the big ego story arc, very big one. Now we move on to, this is Sentimental Army, another collection of works, and I should have said before, my bad. Ego was from 1996 to 2000 in terms of a serialization. Sentimental Army 2003 to 2006. So it's still technically recent. You know, it's not from the era of the 60s or the 70s. If you think of Gekiga like that, it's a lot more recent compared to some of the other stuff that I've shown on the channel. And so this Sentimental Army section is a different story entirely. It's something like the Rainbow of the Akuro King, maybe something like that. And I understand the general premise of the story. I can't comment on the specifics of it, but it is a story about like a demon baby of some sort, set in like, looks like feudal Japan, I guess. And we follow a traveling monk who encounters like a woman. He goes and sees this little patch of blood lotuses, I guess, in the river. And I love this, like this specific panel as well. Just let me just bring it up. Just the bubbling and just the empty space, but the way that we know it's this weird thing coming out of the water. And also like, nah, it's not the same person in the front, but I just found this one really appealing to me, at least. And again, no dialogue. Oh, sorry, not again, but in this case, no dialogue. Very enigmatic panel of like a Buddhist statue with some sort of aura. We've got some flowers blooming. Very mysterious so far. But yeah, we move on. Has some, I guess, vision, seeing some reaper and a dog in the lake. And this woman is also a big part of the story too, because, does it say anywhere? It will show up soon, I believe. I think he found the woman. Yeah, he found the woman lying in the water, maybe, in that same lake. But we cut back to that patch in the lake, and he notices all these crows picking at something in those flowers. And when the flowers open up, this is a beautiful scene. He goes in and finds a baby and finds this demon baby in it. So it's like, whoa, okay, what is going on here? And I just love how, like, this specific panel of the baby, you can see his tiny hands and like the lotus just opening up to reveal what it is. And I believe it is her baby that we actually stumble upon. So interesting stuff. So now it's like, well, what does this woman have to do with this demon baby? Why was it in the lotus? That sort of thing. And we've got a little separate illustration. I really love this one. It does look like the baby here, but the amount of detail in this, perfect. Very dark too. So we're still on the story, and another beautiful page of that baby and the mother. And then now we jump to a really weird part again of the story where it's another unrelated thing. We have that bug boy that we saw previously flying. We saw this ninja before fighting demon babies, skewering them, and odd 4-panel works start to appear. So this is the bug boy. Samurai or ninja with guns. That's the chicken lady that we saw at the start. That was signed. That seems to be laying a lot of eggs in that story. Not sure what's going on. So yeah, these set of 4-panel works, these yonkoma stuff, was very confusing for me. I did not understand what was going on. But yeah, it's now it's still in the same story, but it's like a different section called Akuro Oji, the Akuro King. And so this, I believe, is the baby that was born, that demon baby. And he's got this little, like, I like that design. I don't know what it is. You know, in those religious, what, do saints have these, or angels? I forgot, but that little thing above their head, is that a halo? Not sure. I'm not very familiar with religious imagery, iconography, to be honest. And also thank you to the commenter that provided extra information about the salt pillars in the Nishioka Kyodai video I did for Day of Salvation. Yeah, I'm not very well known. I'm not well versed. Not well known. I'm not very well versed in religious iconography. But yeah, just something that I noticed. So more of the demon baby. This was also kind of funny. I think it was the way it was framed, but it's like, just looking from these couple of panels, you think, oh, feudal Japan, and then you cut to this scene, they're just in trucks. So I thought it was really funny. You've got motorbikes here too, but that was just a humorous part of that little page. You've got the baby reunited with the mum. I think he's vomiting here because he is reminded of finding that demon baby and the crows coming in at that scene there. But interesting panels again, where you get these big 1-page panels of, this time it's the 3 and the mum and just the monk as well. But these are my favorite parts of the book, definitely. Very mysterious artworks. So let's just keep going on. Rest of the story, I'm not too entirely sure what happens. Chicken lady is back. We've got some kappa. And again, with the strenuous amounts of dialogue that you have to read, and I just didn't read just because it wasn't worth it to me. I'm sorry, but yeah, I couldn't really get through it. So let's continue. Got some action scenes. More with the monk and the woman. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here, but the art is always quite interesting because mainly it's got less detail like this, but then there are some pages that just amp up the line work significantly. So it is a quite interesting one. This one too is also very interesting. Notice this, compared to this page, a lot more background work, a lot more screen tones, it looks like. Very odd. Snail. Astro Boy looking guy. No, it's not Astro Boy. But yeah, it's so odd. This manga is such an odd book. So I don't really know what to make out of it. Snail Boys. I do know that like it is a lot of the works in here are again commentary on society and political events, but yeah, that was the end of the Sentimental Army section. Odd. Very odd. Very odd. Make of it what you will, but just a very unique experience, definitely. So now let's move on to another section. This is called Love Mode, published just in the year of 2001. This one is more like there's a central theme or a central focus on love, and it does deal with a lot of monologues and different situations or scenarios that somehow relate back to love, pondering love and society, and some existential stuff too. There's no overarching plots or narrative for this one. It reverts back to that 2-page format that we had before. Freaky. I've always found Normas to be insanely freaky, but still love this page so much. This one's interesting too. These are like fireworks, like actual pictures of fireworks that I believe Taneo took himself, with some commentary. More odd stories. Flowers. Random profiles. Demon or goat babies. Oh, this one was the one it was like this demon baby asking like what to believe in. Like asking someone what to believe in. So yeah, stuff along that lines in terms of like the existential thing. And we've got another cool illustration here, standalone. I love this like guy that looks like he's a tree. Now we move on to another section, 2002 this time. Shinitakunai, which means I don't want to die. This first one is something like a guy who seems to... This main person here, they're just coming back from a funeral, but it was actually his funeral. And so it seems like he didn't fully disappear. Again, in the 2-page format. And more, just so many stories, just so many short and bite-sized stories. This one's about like a donkey that goes around asking why, like what everyone's reason to live is. This guy looks familiar with the hair. But yeah, I'll skip through this a little bit further. I think this one was about like a guy dying and waking up in a clone of himself. And this is the afterword for that section. This is where he explains about that 2-page format and being restricted to that and having that come out as not like many traditional manga. And on here are a list of references to, I guess, different literature and different media that he referenced throughout the book. It's yeah, you can translate that. There's a lot. There's a lot in there. And then now we come into the Koshikari no Mita Yume, which is the titular, the title of the book, 1989 to 1993. And this one was another one that is not related to culture or anything, but there is an overarching narrative that I guess I do understand. It mainly does follow a farmer named M-san. He it follows a lot of his way of life, his daily routine, the struggles that he has. This was a cool little page spread. This is M tilling. No, is that tilling? Well, farming. Tending to his farm. But to be honest, I didn't really find this one too interesting. It was a little too mundane for my taste. I mean, I like mundane sometimes with, I showcase the Aoi Ikebe videos, but in this specific story, I didn't really care about too much. So, yeah, just a lot of farm imagery, farm work, simple panels like this that are quite beautiful. And then just like random, I don't know what's going on here. M no ajiru. I'm not sure what it translates to, but I think the story is a continuation with the son of M. I think his name is Tarao. And I guess we're still set on the farm, yeah, but it's following the son instead of M himself. Yeah, it's quite odd. I mean, like right before this, I recorded the video for King Terry's Penguin Rice. So I've been saying the words odd, strange, weird for quite a while now. So I guess today I just chose to do the very weird stuff. But yeah, this manga is so long. This big section just keeps going, but I still am determined to showcase all of it just for you guys. There's not many pictures of this online. So this reminds me a little bit of Hayashi Seiichi's Red Colored Elegy. There's a specific, I think it's that panel. There's a specific panel at the end. It's also referenced in Usamaru Furuya's Palepoli too. That was just something I noticed. I don't know if it was actual reference to it, but it looks similar. Yeah, we've also got these big blocks of text. Huge blocks of text. It does look like politics gets involved at one point with the farm. But yeah, we are nearly at the end. Skip over this. This is looks like a photograph that was traced over. Also, love that imagery. Just the seed growing out of, I think that was Taro or M, one of them. Not sure why there were rhinos boning there. But yeah. Oh, I should have said this little section is called Hitome Bore, which I think means love at first sight, which is a separate story. But man, it's so odd. There's just so much. My brain was hurting from reading this manga. But yeah, on that topic, even if I don't like a manga, if I feel like it deserves to be at least seen by other people, because my tastes are my tastes. You might like it, so why not show it off. But yeah, that was finally the end of Saito Taneo's gigantic Koshikari no Mita Yume. Big book. And this is the Yagyo issue that I showcased. But yeah, 35 minutes of me just talking about this gigantic book, which I feel I am quite conflicted on what I think of it. It is a unique book, but at the same time, it was quite bland and quite a slog at times. There are times in the book that had beautiful pages. There are also other times that, it's a little bit more simple, but I don't mind, the simple art. But those standalone art pieces that he had in the book were amazing. But yeah, in terms of the narratives, the farmer one was a bit too not much happening for me, and then the ego one was just so fragmented. I normally like fragmented narratives, but in this case it just it fragmented my brain. It was too much. And with all of the text as well, it overloaded my brain. But yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed this video. It is definitely a unique book to have, and quite a heavy one too. Quite a heavy one. 400 pages, A4 size, big book. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. See ya.